and you vow to protect Taiwan?
Yes and yes.
The United States would come to Taiwan's defense if China attacked?
Yes, we have a commitment to do that.
All right.
He said, yes, we have a commitment to do that. Is there a shift in U.S. policy as it relates to Taiwan and a defense agreement?
There has been no shift. The President was not announcing any change in our policy, nor has he made a decision to change our policy. There is no change in our policy.
Words are like weapons, and in times of international tensions, they can be dangerous. And when it comes to Taiwan, these are dangerous times. That was amply demonstrated by the way the White House tried to wind back President Biden's almost casual remarks at a town hall meeting last month.
All countries have to play by the same rules of the road.
Throw forward to this week, and President Xi and President Biden were holding just their third face-to-face, if virtual, meeting.
Officials say the president confronted Xi on China's aggression toward Taiwan.
Chinese state media reported the exchange of words over Taiwan a little differently, emphasising that Biden did not support Taiwan's independence and had no intention of engaging in a military conflict with China. At a time Australia has been taking an increasingly assertive position against China, the conflict over Taiwan has been growing in importance and potential danger as the prospective flashpoint between two nuclear superpowers. While it has been a topic of discussion in the strategic community, it really only erupted at a public level last week with a controversial intervention by former Prime Minister Paul Keating.
Taiwan is not a vital Australian interest. Let me repeat that. Taiwan is not a vital Australian interest, you know. We have no alliance with Taipei. None. There's no document you can find. We do not recognise it as a sovereign state, right? We are committed to ANZUS for an attack on US forces, but we are not committed under ANZUS to an attack by US forces, which means Australia should not be drawn, in my view, into a military engagement over Taiwan, US-sponsored or otherwise.
Paul Keating's comments sent a lightning bolt through the domestic debate about China. They highlighted how Australia has been complacently riding the gradual ratcheting up of rhetoric about Taiwan without having a serious public discussion about the implications. If there was any doubt about how serious this is, Defence Minister Peter Dutton emerged 2 days after Keating to say, quote, "It would be inconceivable that we wouldn't support the US in an action if the US chose to take that action, and that we should be very frank and honest about that."
Most of the region is not yet in that place. Polling shows that the Taiwanese people, for example, are alert but not alarmed. Australians are more concerned about a conflict in Taiwan than the Taiwanese themselves.
Taiwan poses complex and difficult questions for Australia. On the one hand, do we understand the potential costs of walking into a war with China? On the other, do we abandon a democracy and not step up with America when we have spent the last decade placing ourselves so firmly in the US strategic camp? In Australia, unfortunately, this debate has largely been fought for domestic consumption.
I want to talk to you too about Paul Keating. Is he out of line?
Well, I don't think he's out of line with a lot of people in the Labor Party. He's certainly out of line with what our government's policy is.
Do we have an interest in Taiwan?
Yes, we do. We have an interest in Taiwan itself. It's a democracy of 25 million people, a significant trading partner and so on. And we also have a broader interest in the fact that the Taiwan issue is the real pressure point in the big strategic rivalry between America and China, which is going to determine the future order in Asia and how that plays out.
But even if we do have an interest in Taiwan, what are the costs of getting involved, and for that matter, not getting involved?
The cost of going to war would be very, very significant, because I don't think this is a war we can win. China's capabilities have increased enormously over the last few decades. Its capacity to defeat the United States in the kind of maritime war we'd see between the US and China over Taiwan is now very significant. Call me old-fashioned, but I think we've got to be very careful about joining a war which is not going to be successful, which is not going to result in victory.
The alliance expectation on Australia, I am sure, is that Australia needs to support US-led activities to defend Taiwan if it comes to military confrontation. Support does not necessarily equal frontline military combat or operations. For example, Australia is already deeply involved in the US-led intelligence effort.
What all the analysts agree on is that while the very ambiguity of Taiwan's status as neither nation nor territory has worked in everyone's interests until now, avoiding confrontation in the future will need clear messages to be sent, preferably diplomatic ones, and a clear-eyed view of what a new world order looks like that is accommodating to all.
The levers available to Australia and other countries to defend Taiwan's freedom include military options, but there are economic options, there are diplomatic options, and there's a whole range of elements to our foreign policy that need to be our focus, not just this idea that a war is coming. Australia has very little interest in fighting a war over Taiwan. Where our interest lie is ensuring that we do not have to fight such a war.
It's essential to emphasise that this is about preventing and deterring conflict. This is not about any country wishing for conflict to occur. So what we also need to do is impress upon our friends in the United States, partners in the region, impress upon China as well, the need to maintain this balance.
What Washington needs to do to really have a chance of making this work is to come up with a model of its future relationship with China, which has a chance of recognising and accommodating at least something of China's ambitions, because the lessons of history are very clear. If you don't accommodate a rising power, you will end up going to war with it.
Hi, I'm Lee Sales. Thanks for watching this story. If you'd like to watch more of 730's stories, they are on the left of your screen. And tap on the button below to subscribe and get the latest from ABC News.